Welcome to Bold Talk series where creativity, leadership, ideas, innovation come together. My name is Ludvik, and today I have a privilege to have a short one-on-one conversation with Matt Barrie, Chief Executive and Chairman at Freelancer. Matt, great seeing you. Welcome to our Bold Talk series. How are you?
Great. Thanks for talking to me. And it's been a while since we last spoke.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I remember the first call when I had with you. That was like an early days MVP of a crowdsourcing week.
Hmm.
That was like also the early days of freelancers. That was really amazing. Where we have come so far and what the great success that you have had with the freelancer and many other acquisition. But before I just spill all the beans, let's first give us an overview of freelancer and what motivated you to start the company.
Sure. Well, Freelancer, we're an ASX listed company. We're the world's largest online crowdsourcing website by number of people. We've got 74 million users from around the world. Any location you can possibly think of, any skill set you can possibly think of, we've got people that can do the job for you. We do jobs ranging from very small jobs right up to very large. So the smallest job on the platform today is probably around $10. The largest we have at the moment is about $10 million, which is for gene editing in the central nervous system of humans with the National Institute of Health and NASA. We've done about 23 million projects to date. It's simply you sign up for free, you can post a project, people from around the world will bid on your job, you can award the job and go through their portfolios and what have you. And if you award and they then accept, we will charge the client 3%. So it's very, very cost effective. We charge the freelancer 10%. And you can also do contests. So you can post a prize and people will compete for the prize. And contests are a pretty amazing thing because you can do it in any of the 3,000 plus skill categories. And you get on average about 340 different entries in your contest. So you could post a contest, say, for $10. I could take a photo of you now and say, let's put you in Photoshop you into a movie poster. And you'll get probably about 340 different entries for that. But you can do it any different skill area you can possibly think of. And in fact, that gene editing work I talked about a second ago is an innovation challenge at the high end for enterprises. We work with probably about 80% of Fortune 500 users. A big differentiator for us is that we do work with a lot of the very, very big companies around the world, doing everything from helping retrain their AI through to laptop repairs in many countries, through to really future of work and powering the offices of many of these large organizations to get anything you can possibly think of done, as well as we've got a whole innovation challenge program. So we've done everything from building a heads-up display that the first responders use for going into bombings and earthquakes for NIST. We've built the watch that the astronauts use on the space station, the heads-up display for the astronauts for their underwater deep space or the spacewalk training, and a next generation water precipitation measurement device for the Bureau of Reclamation. So we do anything, any job you could possibly think of. No job is
Wow.
too big or too small, anywhere in the world, basically. It's
Wow.
about 40 languages, 40 currencies.
Wow. A lot different than when we first spoke, right?
That's right. And we actually have two other companies in the group now as well. So we also own escrow.com, which is the world's largest online escrow provider. That's a payment service. So it's like PayPal, but it's for high-end, expensive or complicated items. We're the exclusive payment provider for eBay Motors in the US, for example, if you want to buy a car online. We do acquire.com if you want to buy and sell websites, or Flipper if you want to buy and sell websites or apps. And we've done everything from when Facebook rebranded to Meta, we sold the domain name. Just sold something recently to Elon. I won't say what it is. And we do trademarks. We sell oil wells, jet parts, jets,
Wow.
you name it. And we also run the biggest heavy haulage freight marketplace in Australia. So we do about 400,000 kilometers of freight per day midweek. So that's more than the Earth to the moon in trucking freight. So mining, industrial, construction, machinery freight. And that's all just running off the Freelancer Enterprise program.
Wow, that's incredible. Matt, what made you start the company? And obviously, like, did you have that vision from the beginning when you started the freelancer?
No, my company before was a fabulous semiconductor business. We built chips for doing high-speed pattern matching, and ultimately that company sold to Intel. And when I was kind of looking for the next thing to do, I thought, I told my mother that who has a wholesale business for importing sort of arts and craft paint, glues and stuff like that. I said, I told her in 1995 to build a website. Now she would have been Bezos if she built a website that early, but fast forward to about 2009, she still didn't have a website. So I thought, okay, I'll help her build that. And because she had 10,000 products, I soon discovered the error of my ways because there was a big data entry exercise in getting all the descriptions correct and the pricing updated and all the shop information in the directories and so forth. And so I needed to get some work done to fill in a spreadsheet. And it was 1,000 rows in a spreadsheet. It was $2 a row. I was going to pay a little brother or sister or a friend of mine to do the data entry. And that particular thing was just, put the name of a shop in, the address, the phone number, and so forth. And it was the most frustrating thing ever to try and find someone to do that job, because they would tell me the job was boring. And I said, the job is boring. That's why I'm paying you to do it. I don't want to do it. But it was, work at home on a computer anytime you wanted to do it. It was $2,000. And I thought, if I was a young kid, I would have loved to have done this job at home on a computer and make $2,000 pocket money in my own time. But after many months of trying to get that going, I was frustrated. So I typed into Google, I think, cheap data entry online. I didn't really know where to go. I mean, this is about 2007, 2008. So, you couldn't go to a traditional staffing agency. Maybe you go to a university, get them to write on a chalkboard back then.
Yeah.
It's not really a play. Posted down the supermarket, maybe on the corkboard. But I searched online and I found this website called getafreelancer.com. It was built by a Swedish guy, Magnus, who was living on a fish farm in Vanuatu, of all places. And I posted the job, and I went away to lunch, and I forgot actually that I posted the job. And when I came back a few hours later, I had 70 emails in my inbox saying I'll do the job for $2,000, $1,000, $500, $400, $300, $200, $100.
Gee.
And I thought to myself, first of all, I thought, this can't be real. I haven't been able to find anyone to do the job for $2,000. Like, there can't be 70 people wanting to do the job. And so I started talking to some people. I thought, okay, wow, they're actually there. They want to do the job. And then I said, why are they bidding $100? The budget was $2,000. Why would someone do it for $100? And I realized they're all from around the world and emerging markets, and there's different cost bases and so forth. And I got the job done. It was done in 3 days. It was perfect. I didn't have to pay until the job was done. And then I realized I could get the job done repeated for $43 for the next team, and so forth. And then I thought, this is incredible. As an entrepreneur looking for my next company to build, I could sit here with a credit card and just put it in the website and get anything done I could possibly think of. And I thought, this is incredible. I could build a whole empire here just with my own ideas and getting people from all in the world with talent to do the job. So I thought to myself, what sort of business should I build? And I thought, well, actually, I kind of like this business. And a long story cut short, I ended up buying Get a Freelancer, and I used that as a platform. I rebranded to freelancer.com, and then or Freelancer, and then I went and bought, I think it's like 27 companies. I think it's probably roughly. I've lost count exactly how many, but I bought VWorker, which is Rent-A-Coder in the US. I bought Scriptlance out of Canada. I bought Zlensnia out of Poland. I bought ProLancer out of Latin America, and ProLancer out of Brazil, Nibello out of Latin America, freelancer.jp, freelancer.co.uk.au, whatever. Merged it all together, and that's kind of where we are today.
Wow. Amazing. Truly amazing. Yeah, this is incredible, man. So obviously the freelancers are growing. The number of freelancers are growing, and obviously they have a lot of problems with various of things. What problems are you, or what challenges do you see the freelancers facing in the current market, and how do you see freelancer addressing those challenges for them?
I think it's a pretty exciting time to be a freelancer. I mean, we're getting about 25,000 signups a day midweek. The whole AI revolution is absolutely phenomenal, because you can now be an average copywriter, and you can now be an exceptional copywriter using ChatGPT. You might be an average designer. You're an exceptional designer with Midjourney. You can, and it's happening now with development with Claude's new Sonnet 3.5, which is doing very well at programming. You can, I can program. It's been a long time. Yeah, I won an award many years ago for programming, but I'm not allowed to write any code anymore in production for on the live website like we used to do. But using Claude, I'm actually programming again. I get in there and I kind of help it debug various bits and pieces, or write basic code for doing various tasks. And so the productivity level you can achieve now with all this tooling is just phenomenal, and it's very accessible. I mean, it's very democratized. And so from a freelancer's perspective, you've just got all these tools now to power all these different skill areas, and you may be great in one particular skill area, and now you're boosted in a bunch of other areas because you can use all the generative AI tooling. I know for example, I don't really go to lawyers anymore. I use GPT to write my legal documents, right? I've done a lot. I spent enough money on legal fees in my lifetime to know how to, to look at these documents, and I could write them myself. But it's very, very efficient to get the AI to write it for you, and then you just go and edit it, or you iterate on the prompts. So I think it's just amazing the tooling that's out there to power you now. And I also think that where this is headed as well is it's going to lead to an explosion in entrepreneurship, particularly micro entrepreneurship, because this whole journey we've been on over the last couple of decades, where I mean, when I started Freelancer, you typically would raise about $5 million in a Series A and hire some engineers and go out there and write your code and this and the other. And then we had this whole phenomena then in the decade afterwards of the Y Combinator phenomena, where you can give four people $40,000, feed them noodles, put them in a room for 4 months, pop out the other side, and have an MVP of a product and iterate on that rapidly, get to ramen profitability, which is enough money coming in the door to pay for your noodles, and so you're stable, and then kind of go from there. I think with AI, the next leap is coming, right? In a big way. Certainly, freelancers have been in the last decade the thing that's been powering a lot of that. In the fact you can access skills low cost online to help you kind of get any product or service built you can possibly think of. But AI and AI powered freelancers in particular, I think will take it to the next level in the ability for anyone to start a company doing anything really. You just need the vision. Most people want to start a company, but very few people do, and because they just don't know how to get going, and they realize very quickly that the skills they don't have, and so forth. And now with a team behind you of freelancers and sort of AI tooling, it's just so easy, so cheap to do so.
I was going to ask you a question. How do you foresee the future of work evolving? But you really answered that for me.
Well, there's a bit more to that. I mean, I think we're going to go through one of the greatest transformations of business in history, and we've gone through a lot of them recently with remote workforces and this, that, the other. But I think that I mean, you're probably old enough potentially to remember 1994, 1995. 1994 was the year the geeks had email addresses. 1995 was the year your grandmother had an email address. Everyone went online. Everyone wanted to be an internet business. And what did they do? They had to build a website, right? So it's an explosion in website development. And even today, it's a huge category. It's about 30% of the work we do in some various forms on Freelancer is build a website, whatever it may be. Then about a decade later, we went through this whole transformation with mobile phone apps. So you had Android, you had iOS, and not as many businesses needed to have apps, but there was a big revolution where kind of a lot of people were building apps, and that's today quite a large category for freelancers to do, right? The next category, which is about to start or just starting right now, and it's going to be even bigger, I think, than web development, is this whole AI-powered service revolution, right? Every business in the world probably has someone answering the phone, answering some questions, putting an appointment in a calendar, and maybe swiping a credit card, right? Yeah, you could be a hairdresser. You've probably got someone that answers the phone, puts in appointments, swipes a credit card, takes a booking, or a restaurant, or whatever it may be. Every business in the world, you can do that very effectively now with AI. And so every small business in the world will want, inbound voice avatars, outbound voice avatars, online chatbots, this, that, the other. Where they go to get that done? Well, you're going to go to the same place you get websites built. You're going to go to one-man band freelancers, small agencies, large agencies, or you're going to go to the likes of Deloitte. And on our platform, we aggregate kind of all those different types of service providers. And it's not just going to be in one area, it's going to be in every job function. You want that in support. I think customer support is all going to be completely transformed with AI. It's going to be pretty much the dominant form of tier one support is going to be AI powered, and then it's going to be managed potentially by a human who the thing's going to escalate to. We have that already running on Freelancer in many different ways. It's going to happen in sales. It's going to happen in operation and administrative roles, such as taking a booking, or swiping a card, putting a calendar appointment at a GP's office, or a psychologist, or whatever it may be. And I think every business in the world is going to want this stuff to be built for them. And it's not just in one function, it's in many, many different job functions, and it's going to increase the productivity dramatically of all those businesses. And I think you're going to have this boom in work, in basically delivering AI powered services.
Wow, mind blowing. Matt, this is incredible. Now you mentioned the AI revolution. Where do you see a VR coming in? Like knowing that Apple has moved with
Mm.
a Vision Pro gadget, and I was actually reading up the whole product spec of the Vision Pro. There's so much AI in that product, but there's not
Yeah.
one single word mentioned about AI in a product spec. And then you have here's one this gadget that has like 12 cameras, man, it has 12 cameras. So where do you envision this VR and AI in the future work?
Yeah, look, we see some work in VR. I mentioned before the heads-up display we built for first responders. So if they go into a bombing or an earthquake situation, they can see all the vital signs of the responders. They can see through the CCTV cameras. They've got a way of tracking with a shared whiteboard and notebooks, etc. We did the whole challenge design for that. So that involved, not what you think of typical freelancers. They were more larger companies that were participating in that. We went through multiple rounds of challenges. We hired live actors to pretend to be bomb victims and kind of simulated with first responders, the whole thing. So we can actually do that whole innovation challenge sort of thing. But with VR, look, I don't think the product category is really the right fit yet to actually get large growth. I've got a VR headset. You can play a few games with it. How often do you really use it? Not very often. It just sits on your desk forever, unused. It's clunky. They're heavy. You're inside. Basically. The goggles. You can't do that for a full day of work. And if you do, I think you're gonna. I know sometimes where I've been, and they're playing a game or what have you for a few hours, and you take it off, and you think your hands are kind of a bit discombobulated. You think your hands are kind of here when they're there, and I
Mm.
think it probably might be problematic in terms of some developmental problems with children as well. If their brains are kind of growing and kind of I've got the goggles on all day. I think they might have some problems with hand-to-eye coordination.
Mm.
But generally speaking, I just don't think it's right that the form factor is there yet, and I think that's why you're not really seeing the killer apps sort of come through. I mean, Vision Pro, there's a lot of fanfare when it came out, and surely it's a revolutionary product, but I haven't really heard much since. And I think people are complaining that the app ecosystem is not there. I can't see people coming into work and putting the Vision Pro on and working all day. I just don't think
Yeah.
that'd be
Yeah.
torture, right? So
Yeah.
maybe in time, Neuralink or something rather will have an implant, and that's kind of how it'll work. Or maybe it'll be like the Ray-Bans or something that Zuckerberg's working on. Maybe there'll be a more efficient way or easier way to kind of wear these devices. But I just don't think the form factor's there
Yeah.
yet.
You don't see that in the next 2 3 years that that's gonna something evolve to a bigger or
Well, certainly will.
okay.
Certainly will.
Matt, you have arrived here and you're going to a massive, a big territory, but that comes with the level of a leadership and a style. How did you define your leadership style, and what principles guides your decision making?
Oh, you'll have to ask the people that report to me, I think, to get probably the accurate answer to that question. I don't know. Like, I hire the best people I can find and afford. You know, we do a lot of things in this company. So we've got three major businesses. Probably a total across all the businesses of, I don't know, 78 million customers around the world, etc. There's things that need to be done all the time, and so you need to basically have an environment where people take charge of things, which is actually one of our company values. What does the data say? Take charge. What can I improve today? The process of continual improvement. Hire the best, be the best, and change lives. So they're kind of the company values that I didn't come up with, but they were just kind of bubbled up through the organization when I sent out a survey, and they're kind of the people I look for, the people who want to take initiative and run something.
Yeah,
And we run with OKRs. We do it 6 times a year. I'm literally in OKR meetings this week where every team in the company will say what they're going to do for the next 8 weeks. And we've been doing that for many, many years now, and the teams are humming along. So they pretty much decide what they want to do. They've got their North Star metrics they go after, and basically they kind of manage themselves. I think we've got some good process there. We're also a very transparent organization. We rotate through the company every day, and someone sends out a daily stats email, kind of what happened overnight. And on Fridays, every team in the company sends a report to everyone else in the company about what they did. So, if you've got that sort of framework, it's great to be in the company like that because you kind of learn from every other team that you wouldn't otherwise know in other organizations. And B, it's interesting. It's like Friday is one of the most interesting days in the afternoon. You see everyone's reports come through, and you get excited about what's going on. So
Yeah. Now, how do you stay ahead of emerging trends and technologies?
I'm addicted to Twitter or X. I think
Active on
everything.
Twitter? I'm gonna.
Every,
I don't see you on Twitter. Maybe we're not
oh
connected.
yeah, I'm an active shit poster
Um,
on Twitter. I'll tell you that much. No, I think that most news in the world breaks there first, and then you'll see it syndicated to Reddit or the mainstream media eventually. But it all basically originates there, I think, or at least gets posted there pretty quickly.
I just connected you on Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah. Uh, so Matt, obviously you try new things, innovating, but when you try new things, there is the failure is always there. What's
Yeah.
your approach to failure when you try new things, and how you encourage risk taking among your team members?
Well, I call it A/B testing. You got to, you got to try a bunch of different things, right? And the main thing is that you learn from your errors and mistakes, and you do that in a statistically relevant way, right? So you try something, and you got to know that if it fails, that it actually did fail, and you statistically know that you just didn't stuff up your approach, and you got to make sure that there's causation, not correlation, and you try and you build upon those foundations. So we do a lot of testing. We do a lot of high tempo testing. One of our core expertises here, we've got a really I think fairly advanced data science team and framework that we've built over 15 years. And a real-time data pipeline. Everything that happens on freelance, every interaction just feeds into this system, and we've got classifiers running on as well as LLMs now. So you try a lot of things. We probably try too many things. Is probably one of the probably criticism of probably my leadership style. But you want to make sure that if something fails, you've learned from that. So you've got to know that it did fail because it really had a problem with the approach as opposed to an implementation error. In the early days, we had a lot of, when we were doing a lot of the testing, we've gone back and we reviewed some of the results, and sometimes it was just because the test was flawed in terms of the setup. Like you didn't have the right enrollment criteria, or you biased it in some way, or had cross enrollment, or some other problems. So you want to make statistically you've got good data that you're dealing with to learn from your mistakes.
Yeah,
But you got to try a lot of things. No risk, no return, right? You got to try a lot of things,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained, right?
The most important thing is never give it up, right? That's the most important thing.
Oh, you have to be relentless.
Yeah,
You have to be relentless. And
yeah,
let me tell you, anyone who runs a company or started a company knows it is not a line up like that. It is a roller coaster, and it doesn't matter how far into the journey you are. You have 1 minute you're top of the world, next minute something else is going wrong. Yeah, if you come, I think Mike Kennan Brooks said, if you come to work, you don't smoke, you're not sniffing hard enough. Every day you come into work, something's burning, and you just got to deal with that quickly and move on. So try a lot of things and just make sure you learn from them.
yeah. That's incredible. Matt, I would love to have this conversation for hours. Maybe like we'll reserve this next conversation when we're in Sydney and over the beer. But the last question, what does the word bold mean to you?
Um, Relentless, I think.
Nice. This is amazing. Matt, congrats. Some great takeaways that I got here is the AI will move you from an average to exceptional. This is something that everyone can do today. No one has an
Hmm.
excuse to say, "Oh, well, I don't have the skills, or take me too long." You just have to
Mhm.
have a mindset. This is incredible to see the innovation you've seen. Like I've never ever or have come across that you took a platform just on freelancer on demand to really all across the different areas where also you're doing like
Hmm.
price challenges now,
Hmm.
which I want to have a different conversation with you on that too, a few opportunities. But this is just incredible. So always be bold, Matt. Congrats on all the achievements. Thank you for joining me in this Bold Talk series, and look forward to seeing you soon again. Until next time, take care, be great, and be bold always.
Great talk to you.